All right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to take their brands to the next level. I am your host, Junior Frederick, and I have with me, of course, Mr. Bobby Stealth. And today is a sensational Saturday. All right, so guys, if you're live, go ahead and put your flames in the comments, and of course, let us know where you're listening in from. What's up, Bobby? How you doing?
Phenomenal, Junior. I'm doing amazing this morning. I'm excited about where we can take things. So when you build your own business and like you are the leader in your industry, the leader in your organization, the leader in your space, you can truly take it wherever you want it to go. And I thought that was pretty remarkable. Thought leaders being positioned as leaders. So that's what I've got on my mind this morning, how exciting it is to be a leader, what it means to exist as a leader, and how transitioning from your professional space or scaling your six-figure business to a seven-figure business, like what that looks like and how important leadership is. I'd love us to talk about duplication today as we go deeper into some things. But that's how I'm feeling right now, Junior. Just excited about the role that leadership plays in our lives. And when we take on that role as leaders, we truly can take our life anywhere we want it to go. Super exciting.
Yes, sir. Bobby, I feel pretty good. I'm doing this new 60-day challenge. I'm doing this new 60-day total self recreation challenge, and I'm back. But I was always in the gym, but I've been mixing it up, mixing and matching the workouts. I just did my first one today, well, this morning. I'm gonna do my second one later around this afternoon. So I feel great. I feel free. I've made some changes to my diet. I'm really trying to cut down a little bit. So I'm feeling a little lighter this morning. I'm feeling a little lighter. But definitely, guys, and write this down. In order for you to get a different life, you have to become a different person. In order for you to get things that you've never had before, you have to become a person that you've never been before. You have to become a person that maybe your family has never seen before. All right. So today, like when it comes to leadership, Bobby, as I grow, I'm seeing day by day just how important leadership is, starting with true self leadership. Now, when we come back, we're going to be talking about duplication through leadership. Okay, so we're going to be talking about duplication through leadership, and I'm going to be kicking it off with self leadership because trust me, and I said this from the beginning of the year. This year for me is all about total self recreation. And
Yeah.
last night, just literally last night, I was listening to one of my mentors speak, and I realized that, and this is for many of us, right? I put it in the chat. How many of you are still the same version of you that you were last year? Just put that in the chat. So I'll give you an example. If you think you're an introvert, how many of you still think you're an introvert? How many of you still think you're not good at marketing? How many of you still think you're not good at speaking? You're not good at sales? How many of you still think you're still nervous when it comes to asking for your price? If you want a different result, you have to kill off the old you and become a new you. And when we come back from this break, we're going to be getting into that. So make sure you have your pen, you have your notepad. Again, what is written will be retained. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Let's grow.
There's slow growth and then there's scale. There's incremental growth and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 plus 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 plus 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 plus 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 plus 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a 0 to you, you can add a 0 to the marketplace. You can add a 0 to the value that you bring. So you can add a 0 to your family, add a 0 to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. I said Shaan East. I'm proud. I said Shaan East. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire and heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a zero behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes.
Right, guys, welcome back to the show. Of course, this is Breakfast with the Brand. As we go through this morning's presentation, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comments. We will be taking any single question that you have. So, Bobby, let's kick it off. I'll let you take the lead on this one. I think we're going to get into duplication through leadership.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. So here's the thing. As you're building your business and as you're transitioning out of the 9-to-5 situation, or you're retired, you did your 30 years and you're like, okay, what's next? 20 years. Okay, what's next? Well, now you've got to figure out, if you want to be in business, right? You've got to figure out what things you have to do that your organization did for you. So one of the things that your organization did for you that we talked about yesterday was created a caseload for you. The second thing that your organization did for you is it supplied you with employees to lead. So now you have to create those employees. You have to lead those employees. You have to attract those employees. You have to interview them. You have to duplicate yourself. So what an employee is nothing more than an individual with a skill set and a list of duties. Okay, that's an employee. It's a person that has a skill set and a list of duties. In an organization, there are many employees that do the same thing. So if you go to a McDonald's, you'll see different people working the register if you go there every day. Like, you're not going to see the same person every single day working the register. You're going to see different people. So what are you seeing? You're seeing role duplication. You're seeing the same activity being done by different people. So that's the same thing that's been happening in your organization. You were an employee. You were somebody that is doing an activity that other people know how to do. So as you grow your business and as you scale your organization, going from 0 to 6 figures, 6 figures to 7, duplicating yourself is a very big part of that. That is the beginning of going from solopreneur to entrepreneur, because you're not going to be able to do all this by yourself. It's just not going to happen. Like, you can get far and you can do a lot, but you're not going to be able to do it all as good as the next person can do it if you are doing what you do best. In other words, if you're doing what you do best and you have the ability to attract and duplicate yourself and give them the ability to do what they do best, the company's going to go further than you trying to do everything that you're not necessarily good at. So There's a question. It says both, however, there's a sense of urgency for other changes, and I call them growing pains. Okay, so that's in response to Junior's first statement. So now that we've talked about why duplication is necessary, we can dive into the leadership aspect of this. And I'll open up some questions for Junior. So, Junior, I've never actually asked you this question before, or even know what this looks like for you. So, do you have contractors or employees within your organic business where you do copywriting and things of that nature? And if so, how did you acquire them? What do they do in your company? And what are some of the things that you do to lead them?
Um, the answer to that question is no. And let me tell you why. Well, I have partners, but I don't have any employees. I've been able to leverage a lot of AI. So AI is an employee. That's the way I see it. If you have an AI bot, you have an employee. So, for example, I think last week I gave away some stuff inside the leverage. So basically, what I did was I created a custom bot. I taught it to think like me. I taught it to write like me. I taught it to use my style, use my frameworks. I literally taught it to duplicate. I duplicated me and I gave it away. And that's just one example. That's one example of duplicating yourself. Now, if Bobby, and I'm sure many people could relate to this, guys, put it in the chat. If you had like five of you, what could you do?
Yo,
If you had five of you, what could you do? You could do a lot. You could do five times. So, Bobby, you said you made 400% revenue growth.
yeah.
Five times that. Imagine that. That's what you could make if you could duplicate yourself five times. What if you could duplicate yourself like an infinite number of times? That's
Mhm.
AI. Now, some things you will need a human to do. Okay. And, very rarely do we act. And this is the thing I was saying too. Last week, we spoke about AI replacing people and branding being the key to marketing yourself in today's world. Well, I'm telling you, I'm using AI for my business. I'm using AI for my business. And let me tell you something. If you don't have a brand, somebody else is going to be using AI for their business and they're not going to be using your business. So the process looks like taking your knowledge, taking your frameworks, taking your experience, and being able to either put that in technology or put that into people. Now, when we get into the conversation with people, let's go to the Sean Rice brand where we have several people. So the process of duplication involves a lot of culture. So culture. So why culture? Culture allows you to scale behavior. So everybody that comes to the brand, they say, let's grow. That's culture.
That's right.
The suit, the tie, the executive presence, that's culture. So what I believe what you're saying, Bobby, what we're looking to scale behavior and you're looking to get more output for input. And the way you do that, because check this out, even if you have more people doesn't mean more output. And you learn that very quickly. You have more people, you could have more people and get less output. Remember when Elon bought Twitter, I think he fired, I think between 70 to 80% of the staff. And then Twitter started working better. The thing started working better than when it had everybody else. So it's not necessarily about the person. If you're gonna be duplicating yourself, the way you duplicate yourself, in my opinion, is by number one, duplicating your culture, not duplicating the task.
Mhm.
Because then you don't have leaders. You just have people checking the box, and that's not what you want.
Exactly. And here's something that I like to touch on, that the origin brand story, your origin brand story, is so crucial to this because if you don't understand your morals, your values, and your principles, it's going to be very difficult to understand the type of culture that you want. And if you don't know what type of culture that you want, it's very hard to be intentional about curating that culture because culture is really something that is by design. It's by design. So when I was in the United States Marine Corps, one of the things that we do that's a part of our culture is that first to fight, last to quit, last to leave, never quit, right? So what you would see is you would see things like we wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning. You would see us going to marching, like we run and march with our rifles to the chow hall. And that's like where you eat. And then after we eat in the chow hall, we get our rifles and we march back to our squad bays. And then we hang up our rifles, we do XYZ, we put our rifles back on, and then we march to the next place. And then as we're marching to the next place, we stop and we fight. And then after we finish fighting, we march to the next place. And as we march to learn, we're
Hold on,
getting
hold on. Did you just hold on, hold on, guys? Did you just say you'll stop and you'll fight?
yes, yes, we'll stop, we'll go and be put into like it's not like an arena, it's like a big old field. And then you'll drop your blouses and then you'll do martial arts and you'll just slam each other and fight throughout the techniques. And then they'll say, blouses back on, put your blouses back on, kick your rifle sticks and back to it.
Okay.
And then we would march to the next place. And then we would get what is called hazed. And that's when we would drop our equipment and they would like work us out until somebody stops. All of that, ladies and gentlemen, is culture. It's culture. All of that is by design. All of that is for the purpose of when you are marching in battle and something goes crazy, at the drop of a dime, you know how to get you and your rifle to the fight. Rifle doesn't work, okay, great. Mano a mano, you know how to get it done. So when we talk about your business and your culture, the morals, values, and principles of the Marine Corps are very simple. Our three beliefs are honor, courage, commitment. Do you know what those are for you in your company, in your business, as your brand is developing? Because the more you get clear on that, we talked about clarity yesterday, the clearer you get on what you're doing and how it's supposed to look, the more it will start to look like that. And the more that it looks like what you are imagining it to look in your mind, the more you're going to attract the talent that is going to be able to live up to that standard. And as you get the talent in, then you start leaning into the leadership. So that's just a piece that I wanted to talk on there, Junior, is how culture is actually curated and that it is a very intentional procedure. It's not something that emerges by happenstance. So the next question that I have, and the next, like, let's see how we're doing on time. Yeah, we got a little more time for the next break. So the next question that I have for you, Junior, is as you are duplicating yourself through leadership, what are some of the things that you've learned that just weren't true? So when somebody's trying to duplicate themselves, they might think that I've got to go hire the agency, I've got to go hire this person, or I got to go hire that contractor. But sometimes you don't have to hire them at all. Sometimes you can attract them. Sometimes you can get them to work for you for free and be happy to do the work. Like, have you had that experience where someone just wanted to be close to you? They just wanted to work with you, and you were able to leverage their leadership by leveraging your own.
Yeah, of course. But I want to give a different perspective on that. To answer your question, the answer is yes, by the way. The answer is yes. That does happen. I mean, when you're successful at what you do, people want to be around you, and then they want a chance to learn you. And so oftentimes, students or mentee, oftentimes, they're just getting started. They don't have the money to pay you. And so they do what they can, which is, well, let me help you. Let me see how I can add value to you in exchange for you teaching me the skills that you know or providing me with training, etc., etc. Um, but I wanna look at it from the perspective of the leader as well. I heard somebody say this. I heard an influencer say, if you message me and if you DM me and you ask me to work for free, I'll tell you no. And he said, why? And then basically what he was saying is that I'm investing time with you. So I want you to think about the biggest influencer you know. What would it cost for you to spend 1 hour with them one on one? Some people charge 50K an hour. Some people charge 25K an hour. Some people charge 100K an hour. So if you're working for somebody for quote unquote free, that person that you're working for is literally paying you with their time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say that I volunteer to work with an influencer, and that guy charges, let's say, 50K an hour, and he's spending hours and hours and hours with me, training me, giving me all this stuff. If the output that I'm doing is not worth 50K an hour, if whatever work that I'm doing for him is not worth 50K an hour, he's paying me. I'm not paying him. You see what I'm saying? Like people have to get the perspective right. So can you do that? Yes. Like, can you go up to an influencer and ask to work for free? Absolutely. But just bear in mind that if they're investing time in you, at that point they're paying you. You're not the one paying them. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
As a different perspective.
And it is a good perspective. So when we come back from the break, one of the things that we're going to start diving into is connecting this back to you. So before you can duplicate yourself, you have to build yourself. So I'm going to talk about the core competencies that go into launching that organization, launching that brand. So we even have a 120-day brand launch, something that really assists in getting you out there. So we're going to talk about what this journey looks like, what the competencies look like, so that as you begin to think role duplication and think, how am I going to be able to really replace my income and scale and grow? Like, I'm going to put all of this in perspective for you when we come back.
The reason why I did this and what I do is help leaders to become brands and brand themselves. You train people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. I teach authenticity marketing. If people can take advantage of you, they will in your personal or professional existence.
My biggest takeaway just from day one is you are the brand. I would recommend it to anybody that's really looking to build a personal brand.
Just the brand in general has changed my life. I've grown so much since I've been a part of this.
I see myself in what he does, and I believe in it just as much as I believe in myself.
It's very important that you know yourself to the highest degree possible, because it's through knowing ourselves that we're able to know other people. You are the most important person in the room, and the better that you know yourself, the better that you're able to communicate to others. So you're not only playing the game knowing who you are, but you're also playing the game knowing who everyone else is, so that you're not playing blind.
He's extremely engaging with people. He has a fantastic smile, and he's just a very high energy person.
This is called leadership development. So we have to be independently knowledgeable and considerate to know who we are, so we can more effectively know who other people are. As the leader, it's your responsibility to allocate resources in the right places. If you don't know how to communicate effectively, you're losing the battle.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're talking about self-duplication through leadership. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. And also let us know, what is the number one thing that you've taken away thus far? Yeah. Let's get back into it, Bobby.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, guys, I was doing some research yesterday, and I realized that only 6% of companies ever make it to 6 figures. I thought that was interesting, because 6%, that's not a big number. That's not a big number at all. And then it said only 2% ever cross 1 million. And then I was like, that's interesting, because what we teach is how to do multiple 6 figures in 90 days or less. It's how we did it. Now, we're not saying everybody will get those results, but saying that the methodologies that we use are that good. I got to 6-figure incomes in less than 3 years, about 2.5. A lot of people take a lot longer than that. And what I also thought was like, why was I so effective? Like, why was I able to get this done? And what I realized was it was because of the competencies and the way that we've arranged them inside of the organization. So I'm about to show you guys a system in very quick time of how you, by growing yourself, are positioning yourself to be a master as you duplicate. So, brand it like a leader. That is the course that shows you how to create a market. It shows you how to put yourself out there. That's the first thing I did. After I did brand it like a leader, the second thing I learned was coaching. That was my methodology. I needed a low cost and efficient way to sell. Now, and when I say sell, I mean product, something to offer. So once I had that offer, I was in business, just that fast. Most people spend tons of time on product development. They're trying to get patents. They're trying to get frameworks. They're trying to figure out different trademarks and licenses. You don't need any of that if you coach. All you need is a Zoom, a place to meet them. That's why we move so fast, because we're not necessarily cutting any corners, but we're doing it the most efficient way. So once I learned coaching, and that was a streamlined way to collect cash for service, the next thing that I learned was closing. And closing was the art of getting to the yes. Getting people to say yes to me and my products and services. So I already had the brand. I already had 10 plus years of experience. Some of you all have more than that. You've got the education, experience, expertise. You got all of that. So all you need now is the coaching program. Once you get the coaching program, all you need now is the closing, the ability to close more people into that program. So that's what I took next. I learned to close, that competency. So now I'm stuffing my brand. I'm stuffing my coaching program. And then from there, I learned consulting. And once I learned consulting, I took my coaching practices direct to organization. Once I took it direct to organization, I added a 0. Once I added a 0, I ascended the people that were in my coaching program that qualified for consulting, and I started charging them more. That's like a cross sell, a through sell. It's like I'm selling within my organization or within my pool of people that already bought from me. And then my organizational people, I'm creating more packages for them. So I'm ascending them. And then I went from consulting like a leader to speaking like a leader. When I learned speaking like a leader, I started getting paid to speak. I got in front of people for the sole purpose of closing them into my programs. Now I'm going to stop there because I've given you 5 competencies. Coaching, well, branding, that's one competency. Branding, coaching, closing, speaking, or closing, consulting, then speaking. That's how I learned it. I learned branding, then I learned coaching, then I learned closing, consulting, and speaking. And if you learn it in that order, 6 figures is like that. You will run into it, you'll crash into it and run over it, and you'll hit it fast. So what you're doing when you duplicate yourself is you're building a coaching culture, a branded culture, a consulting culture, a speaking culture, and a closing culture. So if you build those competencies, the way we teach them, go through the courses, the way we've designed them, and embody them and brand you, not what you do, match your attire to your desire and attract your ideal client and your ideal team, all of these things, just the way we teach it. Like if you do it that way, guess what happens? You start to duplicate behavior, much like you talked about. So, what I wanted to share as we make this pivot is, Junior, as you have developed your brand, your business, your organization, did you have a certain sequence that you feel like helped you get to six figures faster than most?
So there's a saying: do you want money quick, or do you want money for sure? Do you want to try to get money quick, or do you want to try to get money for sure? So I would go with getting money for sure, Bobby. So I don't think, like, and there was this famous Jay-Z interview, right? I think in that interview Jay-Z said something along the line, I'm just paraphrasing, but he said something like, he, I won't allow anybody to speed up my process. Like I'll get there when I get there. And I feel like that's sort of like the same thing. You cannot expect someone to progress or go through the process as fast as you. Everybody makes it there on their own time. So the way I would answer that question is, I would say try to learn those competencies and you'll get there on your own time. But there's nothing to do that can speed up a process except just do more work. See, if you want to speed up the process, just do more work. But there's no success fairy, or there's no magic trick or genie or anything like that that's gonna speed up any process. The only thing that's gonna speed up a process is you doing more work. That's it. So if you wanna get to the process that, or the progress that we have, you have to work out twice a day. You have to do what we did. You have to work out twice a day. You have to study every day. You have to discipline yourself. You have to read books. You have to do things like that. You have to learn branding. You have to learn speaking. You have to learn closing, etc., etc. Just like everybody did. I learned just like you. I learned branding, then I learned coaching, then I learned closing, then I learned speaking. Well, I came in learning. In fact, I learned marketing first, and then I learned branding. But you get the point. The point is, everybody has to go through the same process. Everybody has to learn, and everybody learns on their own time. So I wouldn't expect, let's say, Dr. Michelle to learn as fast as Bradley, or I wouldn't expect Bradley to learn as fast as Dr. Michelle. It varies. It varies based on who you are, based on what you have going on in your life. Some people have kids, some people don't. Some people have jobs, some people don't. Some people have money, some people don't. So everybody's process is different. But what you can control is the amount of effort that you choose to put in based on where you are. Based on where you are. So if you want to speed up your process, you just have to speed up the work. That's all. It's going to take the same. If it takes 10,000 steps to get somewhere, the quickest way to get there is to take more steps. Take more steps every single day. But you still have to take 10,000 steps.
That's an interesting perspective. It's a very interesting perspective. And I like it because a lot of people get caught up with what the other person is doing.
Bobby, I have one more thing to add to that.
Mm-hmm.
If there was, now I don't believe in shortcuts. I don't believe in like, I'm from an island. Okay, we don't believe in, like, a lot of the stuff that I see going on that people think are problems, we don't see as problems. We're okay with working hard. Bro, I can remember I used to carry I can remember once, and I think I gave this story before. I was very young. I was a kid, basically like 8 7 8 years old. We used to go to the banana plantations on my country. One of my cousins, they had a banana plantation. We used to go there. I used to just go there and visit. And we used to carry boxes of bananas on our heads, like crossing rivers, like, I don't know, like 30 feet long, and the water's coming, it's crashing down. There's rocks, there's all kind of stuff. There's hills. Bro. Let me tell you something. We're not afraid of hard work. Okay, we're not afraid of hard work. So if there was a shortcut, which I don't always look for. But if there was a shortcut, anything as a shortcut, it would be a coach. That's it. The only way to shortcut your process is to get around somebody who has what you want and learn every single thing you can from them. That's it. That's the only way. You have to get around people, a coach or somebody. It could be a speaker. So if you want to learn how to speak, go to look at a speaker. Go to look at your favorite speaker. Select your speaking style. Go to all of their events. Try to sit in the front row. When you're at the event, make sure you have one of these and you're taking notes. That's the only way. Or you pay them. So you pay a coach and the coach will shortcut your process. I've been on calls with people where they've had problems that they've been trying to solve for like a year, and we solve it in 15 minutes. So that is literally the only way that I can think of to shortcut a process. Either you're gonna try to figure it out on your own, or you're gonna get with somebody who's already figured it out and ask them what did they do so that you can figure it out a lot faster. That's the only way.
Right. You know, one thing that I've learned about speed is that you got to be ready for it. You have to be ready for speed. And what I mean by ready for speed, I mean ready to sacrifice in order to have it, right? But that's good. It's good if it's what you want to do, if it's what you believe in to the core of cores. It's good. I was watching LeBron James yesterday. He said, greatness requires sacrifice. He said, your loved ones are not going to understand why you go to work all day, working hard as you can, come home, take a nap, wake up, work some more, eat dinner, and then go to sleep. And do that every day for a long time. Now, LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players to ever do it in our generation. And he's not the first, and he won't be the last person that's talked about the sacrifices required to succeed at the highest levels. And when it comes to speed, in my experience, you're normally sacrificing everything that does not add to velocity. If it doesn't add to acceleration, if it doesn't add to velocity, if it doesn't add to speed, it's cut out, such as spending time with your family, such as spending time with yourself, such as processing emotions, such as watching television or going out on the town. Like all of those things that you cut out and replace with work is all things that equal more and more speed. So the reason I did 400% revenue year after year after year was because I dedicated easily 95% of my time to growing this business. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm saying that speed, in my experience, has been relative to the amount of things you're willing to sacrifice in proportion to the amount of work you're willing to do as you're sacrificing things. So, for example, the average person goes to work for 8 hours, then they come home, they'll sleep for 6 to 8 hours, and with the rest of that time, so we've got at this point 14 hours accounted for, give or take. The other 10 hours are spent doing like things that they want to do, or handling chores around the house, or going out with friends, or picking up the kids, or just day-to-day things that they feel like have to get done. Like in a lot of people's worlds, that's a good day. That's responsibility. That's what right looks like. In my world, when we were scaling and growing, and we still are today, what right looked like for us, for me, was sleep 3 to 4 hours a day, talk to my family in passing, fast religiously, eat 1 meal a day, and grind for 12 plus hours. every single day, Sundays included. That's what 400% revenue growth look like. Now, you don't have to necessarily do that. You could if you want to, but that's culture too. So understanding what type of culture you want to build. I was from the Marine Corps. That's what I knew. I was all about deploying 6 months at a time, being on enemy territory, being behind enemy lines. You cannot sleep, being on 12-hour shifts. Like that was the culture that I came from. So it made a lot of sense for me to just transition my military mindset to my business. And that's what I did. So what you have to understand is who you are. Like there's no getting around this origin brand story. There's no getting around understanding why you do what you do, who you do it for, and the culture behind the person. Because if you don't have those things intact, guys, it's going to be very hard to get to scale. It's going to be very hard to grow, and it's going to be very hard to achieve what you're looking for. But here's the good side, and here's the upside. Many of you all have worked in companies that have paid you for overtime hours. You've worked in organizations where you've worked hard, really, really hard, and you've crushed it day after day after day after day after day. So what I'm saying may sound rigorous, but it's not. Like you've done it. It's not something you've never done before. It's just a matter of how many more sacrifices are you willing to make for speed? And if you're not willing to make those sacrifices for speed, then do exactly what Junior said and take your time. Get that sure money. It's nothing wrong with sure money. The only difference between sure money and fast money is how much money you have to spend on your way to get sure money. Because the faster you move and the faster you have cash coming in, the more runway you have, the more you can keep financing forward movement. But if you're taking your time and you're not making money, but you're spending money, the less time you have because you running out of bread, you're running out of money. So you've got to balance those things out as you're making the transition. So that was a great perspective, Junior. So we got a few more minutes too, like 10 more minutes. So we can actually pivot into another space of leadership and duplication. So Junior, did you have something particular in mind that you think the audience could benefit from? And if you guys have something, I'm looking at your comments now, put it in the chat. Let us dive down that road. Let us go in that direction.
Yeah, Bobby, we're gonna take a quick 1 minute break. When we come back, we're gonna dive more into the total self recreation. Because quite honestly, like none of that's like all of that we were talking about, none of it matters if you don't become the person. If you don't become the person, none of it matters. It's like Shaan often says, it's not about the what, it's about the who. But the first who is always you. So we're gonna take a quick 60-second break. When we come back, more on the subject. Stay tuned.
So when you're young, mommy tells you to play nice. Play nice, Timmy. Let all of the other kids play too. But in business, it's not about playing nice. In business, it's about winning. It's about adding multiple zeros to your revenue. Now, of course, your staff wins. And when you win, other people win. However, when it comes to competition, you absolutely must dominate. You can't play for participation, and you can't play just to get along or just to get by, because business is serious. Business will help you to change the world, or the world will change you. Your people will either win or your people will lose based on your level of leadership, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to sacrifice, and how much you know about dominating.
All right, guys, so we're back. So if you've enjoyed today's show, put some flames in the comments. Bobby, I really wanted to dive back into total self-recreation. And what does that mean? What does total self-recreation mean? It means becoming a different person, becoming a more advanced version of you. Now, where does total self-recreation begin? I believe that it begins in the following order: physical, mental, and business. So physical, mental, business, meaning if you want to become a different person, the quickest way to become a different person is to become a different person physically, meaning what are you doing to enhance your physical? So are you working out? Like literally, what are you doing? Like the fastest way to change your mindset is to change your physique, is to get in the gym. And I'm not saying that you have to be a bodybuilder. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you just have to get moving. You have to move. Because remember, emotion is energy in motion, but if there's no motion, there's no energy. So when we talk about having the winning energy that's going to create the culture in the first place, it's very tough to have that winning energy if you have no energy. And if you don't move, where's the energy going to come from? You know, it's just like that science law, Bobby. An object in motion stays in motion. If you don't get in motion, then there's no energy. There's no kinetic energy. So physical, mental, business. So what are you doing? And everybody write this down. What are you doing today to take care of your physical? So what are you doing? And how deep? So check this out. My life started to change, Bobby. My mindset started to change when I went deeper on what I was doing. So I was already doing the physical. I've been doing the physical for a long time. But what does your plan look like? So some people may tell me, well, oh, I run every day, or I jog, or I go to the gym. But do you have an actual action plan when you're at the gym? Do you have a structured workout routine? Are you calculating your macros? Are you calculating the calories? Are you looking at the food that you eat? Like all of that is important because success is in the details. Failure is also in the details as well.
Yeah.
Success is in the details, but also is failure. So chances are, if you're doing the right things, you're doing the right things in the wrong way. So what happened with me, Bobby, is when I started to take care of the physical and when I went deeper and I put in more detail to what I was doing, what I was already doing, I started to have this fire, what you call this control. So cool, controlled, directed energy. So cool, controlled, directed energy. Almost, it feels almost like it's like that fire, you know, like when you step into a ring, or I imagine you when you step on the battlefield, you have this, it's like this drive. It's like, I'm gonna get it. Like like, where is your fire? How do you create that fire? You create that fire by creating the fire in your physical. When you do that, it translates, it becomes mental. All of a sudden, you become what we call a psycho competitor. Write that down. So everybody write down psycho competitor. So what is a psycho competitor? A psycho competitor is someone that you don't want to go up against. You don't want to go up against a psycho competitor because a psycho competitor is going to do every single thing that it takes to win. They have unbelievable drive, unbelievable determination, unbelievable energy, okay? And they have unbelievable, cool, controlled discipline, but they have the discipline of a natural, it's like a natural force of power. You become a natural force of power, natural source of power. So what is power? Power is energy. You become a natural force of energy. Okay, so you start to have that fire in your eyes. So when people see you, they just know this guy is a psycho. This is not somebody I probably don't want to make. Probably don't want to piss her off, or I don't want to go up against him because you know what? He's gonna absolutely crush me, and that's that's the type of energy you need. Because check this out, business is competitive, just like we saw. It's all about dominating, but you cannot dominate if you're not a psycho competitor. So that's number two. So physical translates to like mental, and then mental translates to business. So if you can crush it physical, if you have that energy, that winner mindset on the mental, then you can crush it when it comes to the business. So that's the process for total self recreation. So I want to challenge everybody, and you know, you can take me up on this challenge if you really want to recreate yourself. I challenge everybody on this call, everybody that's looking at this right now, to take a new step, to turn a new leaf, so to speak, and to do something that you've never done before. I want you to add more detail into your physical. So what are you doing on a physical level? Okay, so what are you doing on a physical level? So for the next 60 days, I'm doing a 60-day challenge right now. Right now I'm on day number 8 of my 60-day challenge. You're at day number one if you're taking me up on this. We need you. When I say we, I'm talking about you. You need yourself to do something physical every single day. So 6 days a week, we work out. 1 day we rest. Okay, 6 days a week, we work out. 1 day we rest. If you have junk, like if you're eating junk, remove the junk from your life. You are what you eat. You are what you eat, right? So if you don't eat healthy things, you're not going to be healthy. It's one plus one is two. Remove the unhealthy stuff from your life. Read a book. How many of you are reading right now? Put it in the chat. What is your book? Right now, Bobby, I'm reading, I'm back to reading Extreme Ownership. I have it right here. And I also have one of my favorite business books right now is Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet David. But I also have Extreme Ownership. And Extreme Ownership is about leadership, by the way. So what books are you reading? Sean has the $1 Billion Brand book that's available on Amazon. If you can get into that. I think all of Sean's books are on Amazon. So if you want to learn coaching, there's executive coaching. If you want to learn more about branding, there's $1 Billion Brand. What are you reading right now? So for every day, for the next 60 days, we work out, we eat clean, and we read at least 10 pages from a book. So how many of you are going to take me up on that? Just put a number one in the chat. Again, this is only for people that want to recreate themselves. If you don't want to be a cycle competitor, this is not for you. If you don't want to be like top 1%, this is not for you. If you don't want to be a bloodline, what we call a bloodline breaker. Okay, Bobby, a bloodline breaker means you're breaking the pattern of your bloodline. So we all have stories. You giving us your story, Bobby. You're a bloodline breaker, meaning that your kids will not go through the same stuff that you went through. You're breaking the bloodline. So this is only for bloodline breakers. Okay? Okay, great. So for the next 60 days, everybody check in. When you come to the call, just check in. Did you do what you say you're going to do? Did you work out? Did you eat clean? Did you read? And number three, Bobby, we have to give them this one. Did you drink any water? Like, what is your water? I always have my water right here. I have one here, and I have a couple. I have my cup here. I have two cups right here. You can't see them, but I have one here. I have another one right here. What are you drinking? How much water? How much water are you drinking? If your brain has no water, you can't function. So stay hydrated, eat clean, work out, and read. And I dare you to tell me in 60 days that you don't feel like a different person in 100 days. Bobby, how many days does it take to change a habit? Like 14 days or something like that? 21
like
days?
30, give or take.
Okay. It takes 100 days to change an identity. So 21 days to change a habit, 100 days to change an identity. So if you want to change your identity, if you want to become a different person, take me up on the challenge. Let's go. I don't know what we're calling. We're gonna call it a 60-day challenge. Come back. Let me know how you're doing after 60 days. In fact, let's check in every single day. I'll be checking in as well. Okay, so that's all I have to say, Bobby. I'll leave the floor open to you.
Oh no, we're at the top of the hour. You
There we
gave
are.
incredible value, brother. So I'm just gonna let that rock. That was incredible.
Okay. All right, guys. So thank you so much. This has been Breakfast with the Brand. We will see you next week. Have a phenomenal and safe weekend. Let's grow. Take care.
Let's grow.